In the next War Thunder update, the Sons of Attila, which is likely to be coming out within the next 2 weeks at the time this video goes live, the American Rank 6 Premium, the F-5C, is being bumped up to Rank 7. This means you'll be able to grind out the entire American tech tree using one Premium. And while there's nothing particularly special about the F-5C, it doesn't have particularly good top speed or good missiles, but it still performs very well in War Thunder. And more importantly, it forces you to become a better pilot. The poor missiles means that you have to rely on the guns of the F-5C. Luckily, we do have very high velocity 20mm rounds, which does make gaming quite easy. Well, compared to the F-4S Phantom, the other Rank 7 American Premium, which just gets AIM-7Ms and it's basically just brain dead gameplay, just lock a target and shoot and get a kill. With the F-5C, you are doing much more energy fighting, much more maneuvering, and much more actual shooting of your guns. While it will require you to be a better pilot, or at least try to become one, it leads in my opinion to much more rewarding gameplay than the F4. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, lads, let's first go over some of the basics. At the time of me making this video, this is still a Rank 6 Premium at battle rating 10.3 for Realistic and Simulator, but it is going up to Rank 7 as I said. It's also worth noting that the top BR for realistic battles is also being increased to 12.3, meaning some of the 11.3 jets, which are your worst enemies in this plane, should also get dragged up to the new 12.3 battle rating. And that is really the major strength of the F-5C at the minute. It's kind of in a sweet spot of its battle rating where it doesn't really see too many nasty jets. While you will face many planes with all aspect IR missiles, they are still easily floored, and you generally have much better performance than those jets, allowing you to get on the 6 and finish them off with guns. And in order to excel at the turn fight and maneuvering energy fighting, I would highly recommend you get the expert qualification for this plane. It's going to set you back 1,510,000 silver lions, which I know is quite expensive, especially for free-to-play players. But if you want to become a better pilot, then you need to learn how to limit your G as well, like turning and touching the W key to just take a little bit of those Gs off, something which you don't really learn if you buy the top tier premiums. And if you can afford it, you can get the Ace qualification for 2,800 Golden Eagles. For the reward multipliers, they're actually pretty good, to be honest. For our RP one, we have 696. And for the Silver Lion, we're basically printing SL with 1020% reward multiplier. Bear in mind, I do use a premium account, so they will be lower if you are free to play. So boys, am I chatting bollocks? Should you spend all this money on the F-5C when you can get the F-4S for a little bit more money? Which we probably will going to get more kills in the F-4S, but it is seriously just brain dead to play. You just lock a target and shoot a sparrow and then hopefully get a kill. But you're an absolute boat at top tier in the F-4S. Where in the F-5C, at least if you get an enemy on your 6, you at least have a fighting chance to get them off, and it allows you to learn much more as a pilot. Alright lads, welcome back. When people think about American air power in Vietnam, they usually think of the F-100 and the F-4 Phantoms. Well, the F-5Cs were actually very active over Vietnam, mainly in a ground strike role, but they did also take part in some air-to-air combat as well. Just thought I'd mention that because you never really see people talk about the F-5C in its active combat role. Anyway though, this aircraft is powered by two General Electric J-85s, each producing 960 kilos of thrust at military power, and when afterburning, that increases up to 1430. This engine power gives the F-5C a climb rate of 135 meters per second with clean wings, and when carrying our two missiles, that drops down to around 113 meters per second if my maths is right, and gives us a top speed of 1444 kilometers per hour at an altitude of 10,500 meters. On the deck, the F-5C isn't particularly fast, but it does have very good energy retention. This allows you to turn fight a lot of things and still retain a lot of your speed, as you would guess from the name. With the F-5C, you just hold your speed so well that you can usually close the distance, even to theoretically faster targets. Some planes like the F-104s are just completely out of reach though, but that's kind of what you'd expect. I've already spoke about how agile this plane is. You should be trying to get on the 6 of enemies. As we'll see later, the missiles are pretty awful. And at your battle rating of 10.3, you are facing quite a lot of the window lickers that are the A-10 and the SU-25 mains. window licker being a British term for retard, for those unaware. But your fantastic turn rate can keep you safe from missiles. You can outturn quite a lot of the missiles that you will face. Obviously, some of the all-aspect missiles you will have to chaff and fleur. And what do you know, we have 60 countermeasures available. As I said, I would recommend taking the mixed loadout, which gives you 30 fleurs and 30 chaff. While you don't technically need the chaff, I do tend to still take it just in case. A very good strategy in the F-5C is to climb high at the start of a match. There are very few planes which have semi-active radar homing missiles, so you can basically climb over everyone and then just drop down on top of them. Especially considering a lot of your enemies are the A-10 and the Su-25s, which tend to stay low and are usually quite focused or distracted by ground units really, giving you basically a free farm. It's so easy to get kills on them. But when it comes to the avionics of this plane, we don't have anything really. We just have an RWR. We've got no radar, no CCIP, CCRP. So when I compared this plane to the F-4S at the start of the video, that thing basically has everything you'd ever want in terms of sensors. The F-4S is like a SWAT police officer. The F-5C, we're basically like a female police officer. We don't have anything guiding us, we're just shooting randomly in all directions and hoping we get a kill. Our guns are actually quite competent though. We have the M39A2 guns. They're kind of similar to the guns found on the F-86 Sabre. I don't think they fire as fast, but they're very, very high velocity and they're quite easy to lead. Each gun can carry 280 rounds of ammunition, giving us a combined total of 560 rounds. This gives you quite a long time on the trigger, which again, if you're a newer player, it's not like you have to be incredibly disciplined with your trigger finger. You can spray a little bit to get those kills confirmed, but it is always good practice to just have short, sharp bursts of fire and try and figure out how those rounds didn't hit rather than just spraying and praying basically. You're not going to improve with your accuracy if you just fire all over the place. We have quite lots of ammunition to take with us if we wanted to. We have default, universal, air target, armoured and stealth. I'd recommend taking the air target, it has the most amount of high explosive rounds and generally has the most consistent damage now. We then come on to the missiles, which are the AIM-9Es. These are kind of like, they're basically like AIM-9Bs that aren't caged. It's also similar to like an AIM-9G, I believe, but with a lot less pull. They're not particularly great. They're not really long range. They're not really highly, well, they're only pulling 10 Gs, so don't go into a game thinking that you're going to get kills with the AIM-9s. While these can be still used quite effectively against enemies not really paying attention, against a competent opponent, just one pop of the flare and a slight turn is going to easily defeat them. But this is a definite weakness for sure, but on the other hand, it does force you to learn how to play jets properly. You can't just get behind someone and fire a missile and get an easy confirmed kill. You basically will be going into a merge, basically having to rely on your guns. You're going to have to position yourself for a gun kill, and if you do get a kill with a missile, then hey ho, it's a nice bonus, but you should be going into this thinking, I need to get my guns on. Other than the missiles, we do have a plethora of ground strike ordnance. Bear in mind though, as I said, that analogy with the female police officer, you're basically firing blind every time you select a secondary weapon here. Luckily for us though, we don't have a taser to get confused with, we just have actual weapons of war. First up is the AGM-12B, the bullpups. These are pretty decent, 73mm of penetration with its high explosive warhead, containing nearly 60 kilos of TNT. Pretty decent for ground strike in ground realistic, not really that useful in air though. We also have two different types of rockets. We have the folding fin aircraft, the Mighty Mouse. Again, heat warhead, pretty decent. That's followed by the Zuni rocket, a lot more penetration and very good against infantry if we had them, but unfortunately we don't. We can only carry 4 of these in a pod compared to the 19 in the FFAR ones. Again though, without a constantly calculated impact point, there's not really much point in using rockets. You're going to be incredibly blind basically when you're firing. They're incredibly hard to aim as they are. Then moving on to the bombs, and we start with the good old 250 pounders. You can kill anything within a radius of 5 meters of these things, not really that useful. Then graduate up to the 500 pounders, which will destroy anything within a radius of 7 meters. We also have the 500 pounder snake eyes, same destructive radius, but they are retarded, quite literally this time. Then have 750 pounders, will destroy anything within a radius of 9 meters. A 1000 pounder, which will destroy anything within a radius of 11 meters. And finally a 2000 pound bomb, which is fitted on the center line. You can only carry one, which will destroy anything within a radius of 18 meters. If you are going to ground strike, I'd recommend probably taking some of the bombs or the bullpups. However, this plane is not really intended in War Thunder as a ground striker, and it's definitely not one of the vehicle's strengths. In terms of enemies to look out for, I definitely recommend looking out for the F-8Es. They can turn pretty well and they have very good power as well as energy retention. Again, if you can get up tier to 11.3 games, which are a little bit rough, but generally you can outturn everything and you still do have your countermeasures to both counter radar and IR missiles. So we now come to whether I'd recommend people buying this plane. Well, the F-4S is undoubtedly a better grinder. It has better weapons and can carry more of them, but it's very soulless to play, and it is wholly reliant on those weapons for its kills. If you fire all your missiles on the F-4S, then you basically have no ability to get kills in those games. The F-4S also faces much more scary opponents than the F-5C, which again, it does make the F-5C better for a newer player to learn the jets, purely because you are one of the top dogs in most of the games now. So while you aren't handed kills on a silver plate like you are with some of the other premiums in War Thunder, getting kills in the F-5C, you will feel a lot more cathartic, or however you use that word. It feels good to get kills in the F-5C because most of the time it isn't going to be missile kills, it's going to be gun kills. And you can really feel yourself getting to know you learn how the velocity of the guns work, you know how much to lead. You feel like you're actually making a improvement in the game, rather than just clicking radar lock, fire sparrow. Anyway lads, I don't know if my take's absolute dog shit and I'm completely out of clue with everyone, but I do think this is generally a better premium to learn how to fly. As I said, it might not be a better grinder, but I think you should really learn how to fly jets instead of just buying top tier and then team killing on takeoff by accidentally clicking the cannon button, which happened to me in the last game I played. But anyway boys, let me know down below in the comments what you think is the best beginner jet to fly in War Thunder, and let me know if you agree or disagree with my opinion. As always lads, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey lads, if you made it this far into the video, then thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I have a whole load of other content on my channel, including tutorials and other vehicle reviews, so why not give them a watch, and if you like them, please do consider subscribing. Thanks again for watching though boys, I've been SAKO, and I'll see you in the next video.